Okay, welcome to the first episode of the Pro Mindset Academy podcast. What are we going to talk about?
Let's talk about who we are, how this podcast came to be, who it's for, how it's going to help you or your child.
Cool. I think we start with a brief overview as to how we got where we are doing what we're doing, more specifically. What called us to the work.
Yeah.
You go first and then I'll follow.
Yeah, I actually got to ask this question today. I was having a chat with someone and he asked me what got me into this youth work, and I kind of went on this story. We won't go too long in this episode. We'll do another one more about our backgrounds, but I first began coaching in 2017, working with the youth. At that time, it was around strength and conditioning directly, but it's still focused on development of youth. Like, strength and conditioning was sort of the arena or the tool that we're using to, yes, help the youth get physically stronger, but also mentally stronger. And the more that I worked with the youth, the more that I saw, that the biggest opportunity for growth was mindset, and B, that was what I felt called to do. And so we had, over that course that the Youth Academy ran here in Newcastle, we helped thousands and thousands of youth athletes over the time that it was open, and ended up shutting during COVID. But prior to that, we had, at any one time, over 100, 150 kids plus teams that were operating. It was a youth-focused gym, which is like, you don't have any. That was like the only one that I've ever known of before or since. It was totally for the youth. And we had thousands and thousands of kids that we helped, but also doing talks with schools and teams and all this stuff. But what we recognized was that these kids, these youth athletes in various sports, they would come into the gym and they would train in the gym 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. And they would train in their sport most days, if not every day, depending on the sport. And then we would talk to them, on Monday when they came back the next week, and say, "Oh yeah, how did your match go?" And the continual thing that we heard was, "Oh, I could have done better. I didn't do my best." And it became more apparent that it didn't matter how fast and strong you were, how much skill you had, because all these kids were fast and strong, had the skill. If at the end of the day you weren't able to actually show up and express your skills, perform when it became time. So we started to have more. We would take the kids into the office and we're running mindset talks and workshops about how to actually get out of your head, and so that your skills can actually do their thing. How can you believe in yourself more? How can you back yourself more? How can you develop the confidence so that all the hard work you've put in can actually be applied when it counts?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the introduction. And then I've been coaching online. I've been coaching online for a number of years as well, probably since 2018, 2019. And the PMA, the Pro Mindset Academy now is, we've been working with, we've been doing this full time for 2.5 years online in this way, directly working with youth athletes to help them perform.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously our paths are very, very similar and have crossed over many a times. I suppose the only thing I'll add to that is, from my own experiences, is I started as a coach in the physical world, obviously in gyms and CrossFit spaces and that kind of stuff. And similar to your experience, even though yours was in that instance, in the early days, was with youths, mine's were with more teens and adults. But it was always, what lit me up was always the conversations I had with people, either individually or in small groups after the sessions.
Yeah.
And it became quite obvious to me that the true test was what was going on in between the ears.
Yeah.
People can turn up for classes and they can have fun and all that kind of stuff, but if and these are topics we're going to go into a lot more. So I'm not trying to sound vague on purpose, but the fact of the matter is there's so much to this. A lot of the concepts we teach are very simple, but there is a lot to it, and that's why it's I don't know if you'd call it necessarily a niche thing, but there's not that many people that do it, and there's not that many people at all that do it with yous like you and I.
Yeah. So over the next, we have big plans for this podcast because we see that this ought to exist. I hear from parents on the daily the benefits of the work that we do with our coaching, and how important this stuff is, because there's a lot of youth athletes out there, and not just youth, but all ages, even in adult space. There's a lot of youth athletes and athletes out there who want to play to their potential and have all the skills, but they're not, and it's incredibly frustrating. One of the most frustrating things for a person is knowing that they can do better and they're not.
Yeah.
It's incredibly frustrating for these youth who sport is their life. This is who it's for. It's for young athletes who have the dream of becoming professional or taking the sport as far as they can, and they understand, and they're doing all the stuff. They're doing, gym training, they're doing extra speed training, or they're doing the skills, they're extra skills training, they're in their sport, and they're committed. It's just when it comes time, it's actually being able to have them play to their potential and do that consistently. So there's a lot of athletes out there, and you and I have been that athlete, who want to get as far as they can, and they need to learn how to actually apply their skills fully and play to their potential. So this podcast and the work that we do ought to exist. It's incredibly helpful for the athletes we've seen. We've literally got hundreds and hundreds of testimonials, and from parents too. There's nothing. We're both parents, and there's nothing better than seeing your child doing what they love with a smile on their face and them doing it well.
Yep.
It's from a parent's perspective, there's nothing more frustrating or hurtful seeing your child struggling and not being able to do anything. But on the other hand, seeing them actually excel and being themselves and having fun and doing what they love, that's the best in the world. So this podcast is going to give some practical tips and some understandings to educate parents and kids and even sports coaches and people in the space how important working on mindset is and the mental game is, and we're going to give you a guide and some tools, direction on how to do that.
Yeah, the way I like to explain it to people is it's like a necessary piece of the puzzle. It's important, and you can't have one without the other. You can't just do mindset work and not turn up to training and put in the hard physical work, because it doesn't work. But as we know, you only get so far if you put in the physical work, and we know that from personal experience, of course, and then from working with yous and just general observations. And like you and I literally obsess over this stuff. We keep physically fit, active and strong, but we also for a long time now have continued to obsess over everything mindset related, and that's why I think what we offer as coaches and the other coaches within the academy is so valuable, because unless you really go into the finer details and go real deep on the rabbit holes like we have, it's hard to see it from a holistic perspective. And for a lot of people, that's a lot of work and it's too much, and people just aren't interested. Whereas for you and people like you and I, like we froth over it. That's just what we do all day, every day. Whether we're interacting with other people, or regardless of what we're doing, we always have that line of thinking, and so I think that is incredibly valuable in these instances, because not everybody's that way inclined. Parents aren't that way inclined, which is fine, right? Because that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But because we are like that, and because it's just a blessed coincidence that we happen to be brothers. The value there is extreme.
Absolutely, the desire to learn all about it. I think I'd say 80%, if not more, of the kids we work with have the curiosity, and then they see about the mindset and the mental game side, because they see that something's not working in their sport, then they start to see how much it benefits, and they get really interested in it. And a number of our coaches, clients, have become and are becoming coaches, now mentors within the space, because they've been at it and they really see how valuable this is. But yeah, the interest, but also the time spent. Like, I've been meditating for 10 plus years. You've been in the space. Like, we've done all the stuff, so we know what works and what doesn't, because we've gone down that path. So other people don't necessarily have to spend 10 years studying it. They can just spend, 10 weeks is basically our program, to then get the benefits.
Yeah. And I think I sort of said it in a roundabout way earlier. Some kids pick this stuff up easier than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the way it is. My opinion is that, the greats in any sport, a lot of them, before this type of work was a thing, kind of naturally picked it up easier than others, like the Kelly Slaters of the world, the best of the best, and they still work on it.
Yeah.
Right? So if they pick it up pretty well and they're the best of the best and they still work at it, this goes for every single elite athlete, bar none, then it's kind of obvious to me how important it is for a kid to put the practice and effort into it. And then the other thing I'll say, which you also sort of already touched on, which is super important for us as parents, and just the type of people we are, is that this work carries over to life, to everyday life.
100%.
Sport, we love doing this with athletes, but sports are a game, and going professional is very serious. But you and I both agree that, like, helping these kids become better people is equally as important
100%.
as helping them achieve their dreams.
Sure. Yeah, sport is the arena that we're having this conversation around, and we're applying these ideas to. But what brings success in the sporting field and enjoyment in the sporting field also translates to success and enjoyment and fulfillment in life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which we'll get into the next episode.
Okay. All right. We've got to, as for what we do, call to action.
Yeah, I think just keep listening to this podcast. If you're interested, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, pro.mindset academy, to check out more of what we're doing and be in that space. And stay tuned for the next episode.
Awesome.